How are all you 30-year-olds honestly affording 600k plus houses right now? Above average dual incomes and accepting a high mortgage payment for 30 years. House poor is a term I love to use. My dad died. I'd rather his presence than any inheritance, but here we are. I'm almost 40, but we have a $650,000 house according to the tax assessor. It was easy, just buy a $325,000 house 4 years ago. Edit, typos. Dead parent. I'd happily trade my nice house for a cardboard box to have one more day with my dad. We both make 6 figures, and we don't have kids. I wish there were $600,000 houses in my city. Cancelled my Disney subscription and no longer eat avocado toast, but really it took lots of effort at work to get raises and drastic limits to spending. They bought inexpensive houses at a young age, and then those houses appreciated by a lot. Couple that with career growth and savings. I bought my first house in 2010. Sold it in 2019 for $80,000 profit due to unfortunate life events. If I would have held that same house another 4 years, and sold now, it would have netted $280,000 in profit. I got a mortgage on that house with a $48,000 salary in 2010. Can't touch anything these days at an entry-level salary. Joint income both in tech. VA loan. As much as it sucks, in some areas $3,500 rent for a 2-bedroom is common. I think we've reached a point where some people would rather own if they are throwing away up to 60% on rent. Something has got to give soon. Here's 4 scenarios from personal friends in the 30 to 35-year-old range in Seattle. Inherited a substantial percentage of the home from grandparents and used equity to pay out other family members. Parents contributed in the 6 figures, dinks with lower salaries due to their field of work. Parents essentially bought it for them, dinks with good income. Work in tech as dinks while being house poor, no family help. Many people I know from high school bought homes 3 to 5 years ago, but it's not hard to find places for $200,000 to $250,000 or less for a fixer-upper. My friends with houses that cost 2 to 3 times more not only agonized over it for far longer, but many of them settled on a property they didn't really want. You pay a premium and get a $150,000 house on a plot worth $450K. The only sane motive any of us have is that housing is our city will never drop significantly. The apartment I rented 3 years ago is listed at 30% more than I was paying. In the meantime, my home value has increased by over $100K. I work in the oil patch, so although I spend very little time in it, my wife and kids live in a very nice home on 15 forested acres. Not sure what the estimated value is right now, but it costs 750,000 Canadian dollars to build in 2019, and by the time I'm 60, it should be paid for. High-tech jobs. By moving to areas where houses are still in the 250 to 350 range and work remotely. I'm not fucking spending most of income on shoebox-sized apartment. My parents gave me a small deposit of $600,000 to put towards a house. Hey up 47-year-old interloper from r/Gen X here star. My experience is that the people that can afford that at 30 have the following. Great jobs with huge salaries that they worked really hard, seriously, really hard, like 18-hour days, huge sacrifices, genuine talent etc., to get. I hate this one, but it's true. Wealthy families. Always make sure you choose your parents wisely. Inheritance. But someone you love needs to die for that option. That's how. Oh, and also, no one shouts on social media about having to struggle in a normal life like 99% of the world. Asterisk now get off my lawn. In LA it's more like 1-2M. I'm not haha, Me and wife make above 6 figures. We bought in a up and coming area of SoCal for $290K. Now house is worth supposedly $600K if we sell. But at 2.0 interest I ain't never selling. Owned by the bank. We, my wife and I, 30, bought in 2019, and while the interest rate is similar, our house has doubled in price. We aren't ever moving, so we welcome ourselves to the generation that dies in their starter house. Good thing we love the place. A 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and a large backyard only cost me $224,000. Rural Manitoba. Bought a house in 2009 for $100K during the crash. Married, we make $70K a year. Cars paid off, house, trailer house, paid off. I drive an 08, she has the 14. The trailer park we live in cost US $8,490 a year to rent the land. Point is, we own shit. We are 40 to 42, we can't own anything. We can't even afford a down payment to our mortgage under $1,800. We live in the Midwest. Can't enjoy life, living frugal AF, barely have more than $500 in my bank account, paying $3,200 per month on 6.5% interest. Yeah, home owning is great. I'm not. I live with my parents and am stashing money away like a squirrel to attempt having a chance at generating real wealth. I could live on my own and rent, but I'd never accumulate enough cash to take a chance at something bigger. I'm grateful to have the option of living with my parents now, being able to accumulate real money to make a real attempt at having a financially successful future. Here's a more realistic scenario: an answered townhouse. Single income. I'm a social worker, LOL. Townhouse is a little bit more affordable, but God, the hoes are killing me. Jumped from $300 a month to $500 not even 3 years in. Minimal down payments. For our $450K house. IT jobs. Not splurging money on stupid things / impulse buys. No credit cards debt, no uni debt. Sacrificed lifestyle to save deposit. My buddy was 29 in 2020, purchased a 2-bed 2-bath condo at 2.89% mortgage interest. His income was I think $70K. He was approved. Try Toronto. Average income per person is around $55K. The average house price is around $900K. 20% of our entire country is capable of buying the average home. That 20% are all people who already have one, by the way. My parent moved to another house and gave me their old one. Fully paid off, just have to pay taxes, bills, and upkeep. I get help when needed. I also eat a lot of beans and eggs. Joined the military at 17, earned a bachelor's degree for free, applied for a law enforcement career that pays over $100,000 a year in CA, purchased a home when the market was good. My wife kept her job in the 2008 financial crisis, and we used our savings to buy a dilapidated bankruptcy house. We put a ton of sweat equity into the house. We stayed in that house for 13 years, our careers solidified, we had a kid, and we ended up at a point where we needed more house and our finances were good enough to afford it. So we moved up just before interest rates were hiked. Basically, we got incredibly lucky that our jobs remained secure through the 2 biggest economic crises of our lifetimes and managed to time our house purchases near perfectly each time. I rent a tiny studio apartment. How tiny? My childhood living room is bigger. But it's a roof over my head and I make just enough money to make it work. I'm 40s and wife is 30s. We bought a brand new build right before the rates jumped. I just took a second job and we are paying our regular payments plus everything I make from that second job monthly to try and pay this thing off in 5 years or less. Sick of the housing market and just want to own and be done.